Please don't listen to all the fear-mongering out there about learning multiple languages at once. I think that there's a lot of actually TED Talks on the topic of learning languages. Teachers, if you will, tutors, different experts online telling you can't learn 2 or more languages at once. Well, I'm here to tell you that you can. If you're familiar with my content, you already know I've made a couple of videos on this topic. If you're not, hi, great to have you here. What I want to do in today's video is walk you over why I think it's a wonderful idea to learn multiple languages at once, how you can do it, and what I think the best ways are. Now, in this video, I'm going to take you to how I use FluentU to learn multiple languages at once, but I'll also explain why even bother. So, just to set the record straight here, again, a very abridged version of the deep dive that I've made into this, but basically, I've seen a lot of benefits when you learn a couple of languages together. Now, a lot of times, people will tell you that, you can start mixing them this way. I think that's definitely not true. I've mixed even languages that I've learned one right after the other. And yes, even languages in different language groups. I mixed German and Spanish once because Spanish was much more established for me than German. That happened, although I didn't learn them at once, although they're not in the same family, so at the end of the day, things like that don't matter. When it comes to keeping them straight in your head, there's only one thing that matters, and that is practice. Practice is the only thing that's gonna let you separate languages. So if you want to learn French and Italian, for example, I say go for it. Don't be worried, they're in the same family. You're somehow gonna mix them more. You're gonna mix anyways. Any language that doesn't get enough exposure, hasn't had enough practice, has the potential to be mixed. This is totally okay. So what I suggest is go ahead, learn French and Italian, French and Spanish, Portuguese and Catalan, what have you together. Don't worry about things like that. Don't think that there's going to be any issue. On the contrary, you're going to see all of the parallels because they all belong to the same family, and that's going to help you. Even if you learn completely unrelated languages, it's going to be very helpful because learning multiple languages at once trains your language muscle. You learn how to learn, you develop the ability to notice, you see those patterns, you get much more comfortable with grammar and the terms. Even if you are not into learning grammar, you just kind of pick it up subconsciously. You just notice all of the wonder that is in a language, and you learn how to connect it to different languages. I think it's very helpful, especially because sometimes, let's say in the intermediate plateau, there's good opportunities to kind of take a break from a language, let it just rest, rearrange itself in your head. And in this case, if you're learning others, you can just go back to learning others. You don't have to stop. Or, let's be honest, language learning is a marathon. And one of the best reasons to learn multiple ones is because you don't get bored. Because no matter how many apps that have wonderful gamification come out, the truth of the matter is you're never going to learn in a quick and easy way. It can be fun, it can feel like it's not work, like it's pleasure. Yes, that is possible, but it's never going to happen quickly. True fluency takes time, and it takes a lot of exposure to comprehensible input. A lot of exposure to, the interesting content like FluentU's videos, for example, or books or podcasts. That's how it happens. It happens through living the language. And sometimes, it can get boring if you're just studying one language. So this is where studying multiple really comes in handy, because you don't have to be like French every single day, day in, day out. No matter how much passion you have for it, sometimes you might be like, oh, I just want to switch it up. So this is exactly where learning multiple languages comes in handy, because, switching it up can be wonderful. Now, I'm not saying everybody should do that. I'm just saying, if you want to learn one language only and you're happy with that, fine. But if you're like, oh, I want to learn a couple at once, or like maybe 3, and everybody says I shouldn't, don't worry. I'm telling you, I'm living proof. It really helps. It speeds up learning of languages, doesn't slow it down just because of all of the commonalities, the patterns, etc. And it's not gonna increase your chance of mixing. You're gonna mix anyways, so might as well enjoy yourself. Nothing bad is gonna come out of learning multiple languages at once. Let me show you how to do it. As promised, I'm going to be showing you how I learn multiple languages using FluentU. Now, let me give you an example of what you can do here. FluentU is a wonderful way to learn a language, as it is all about comprehensible input. It is based on one specific type of comprehensible input, which many of us like, which is videos. Videos such as Netflix, YouTube, what have you, they have a huge library. Let me take you around. Like, let's say, for example, and in my case, I'm learning French, right? My French is in the intermediate level. I want to get it to advanced. Here, I can go and I can sort by intermediate. Now, I haven't done that right now because I'm like, sometimes it'd be good to go over the basics, but let me do that. Let me do intermediate and advanced only. I can do this, and I can also filter by topics, by formats. So let's say I want like very popular videos, I can do it by view count. Let's say I want news to learn French, or like, history and culture as a topic. It doesn't matter. If you are very used to learning through podcasts, for example, interviews might be a great way for you to learn through FluentU. But if you're like, I'm all about movies, you can also do that as well. So in this case, I'm just not gonna select any topic because I like to change it. I like to just like have this opportunity to just have all different types of topics, and I want to show you. So let me just select the level, and that can actually help me just see relevant content to me. Oh, so this I like. I'm actually a huge fan of ancient history. So myths and stuff like that are also quite fun for me. Let me click on the myth of Pandora's box and do that video.
Zeus, le roi de l'Olympe, qui trouve que tous les hommes ont reçu injustement, grâce à Prométhée, le feu divin, concocte une vengeance terrible, un véritable piège.
So let's say, in this case, as you can see, by the way, you have this, like the video, it's clearly taken from YouTube, right? You have the YouTube player here. You have then also the subtitles, which are in your target language and then in English. So I can also get rid of the subtitles in English. I definitely think that this is something that requires a whole other topic. Should you not keep subtitles? But no matter what you want to do, if you're, let's say, advanced or intermediate, you don't want to keep English subtitles, you can just get rid of them, super easy. Of course, I think the subtitles in target language will always be on, no matter what, unless you're like super advanced and just want to get rid of them already. But in this case, I think, this is extremely useful to have these things. So for that reason, I'm going to keep the subtitles. I think, again, if you're a beginner, maybe have them in English as well. You can definitely play with that. You can get rid of them altogether as well. But in this case, let's keep the French ones. Let's say, I don't know the word piège, right? Look at what happens. I see a visual of a trap. First of all, I'm learning from a video, which is great comprehensible input. There's visual cues, there's auditory, sticks in your memory better. But then I also have the subtitles, and if I hover, I can see all of the words through their different, images, which is amazing, because that helps, especially if you're familiar with the memory palace technique, kind of associating different words visually from different locations, etc. So this really helps with that visual aspect of memory. Now, of course, with language learning and memory, this is not something that always has to go hand in hand. A lot of times this conscious memory isn't useful because when you speak, you're not consciously searching for the words and trying to remember and having that visual of a trap. But what is going to happen is that word piège, now that I've seen this, I've heard it, I've read it, also seen how it's written, that is going to go in my subconscious memory. So the way I'm speaking English right now, these words are somewhere. They're not in my conscious memory, which is why I'm like, memory in its traditional sense doesn't matter, but they're going to help me get them in my subconscious memory. And then when I speak French tomorrow, this is going to be very helpful because, I'm seeing it through so many mediums. I'm watching a video which is on topic, and words are best learned in context. And so this is going to be wonderful in terms of having this ability to make the word sticky. Now let's click on the word and see what happens.
Piège, piège.
You see, it gives you like all the different videos in which the word is used. And so you can see it in action in different sentences, as I mentioned, only in context. That's the only way that you learn words. You can also add it, let's say, to your vocabulary, like some flashcards that you want to create. Let's say I add it to my vocabulary. And here I'm going to take you to the flashcards because this is something I really want to pay attention to. Now, flashcards, I don't believe in, that. I don't believe in those that are like a word on the other side, target language on the other, surely fine. No, it's not. Most of the times I really recommend against it. But in this case, what you have here is again, that same word as you saw it before in the video. It has all of those different sentences. You get 5 sentences, as far as I can count, right? That you have with this word. So you see it in context, you see how it's used in different contexts, not just one, because oftentimes we just see it in one if we consume a certain piece of information and don't know all of the other ways this word is used. So you can actually see how to use it, and it's truly wonderful from that point of view that you can go review. You can of course move it to known words after, but I think that is very good, that if you're like, yes, I'm a wholehearted believer in learning through video, learning through movies, through YouTube, but I kind of want to have the chance to review. If you've ever said that, then this is for you. And as you can see here, there's so many different topics. And I personally picked this, and I'm gonna learn through this video because I think this is very interesting. If you think something else is interesting, that is also wonderful. And this is for a language at the intermediate level. Now, if you want to go advanced, let me go to a language I'm advanced in, which would be Italian for me. Here, ooh, Bridgerton. Okay, that's kind of cool.
Sembri una statua di marmo.
Le statue sono opere d'arte e l'arte è bellezza.
L'arte può essere bella da contemplare, tu invece rasenti il ridicolo, mia cara.
You see, now this is much better for me in Italian. And if you're also advanced or fluent in a language and you just kind of want to improve, kick it up a notch, this is perfect because Netflix is not, material made for learning like some YouTube videos are. And if you're advanced, this is going to be wonderful because you're like, well, I'm already at this level, why don't I just learn with my favorite TV show? And you can just browse and see, as I just came across Bridgerton by accident. Or what you can also do is you can go in here in the Netflix section and add the Chrome extension. I think the Chrome extension is wonderful because, as you can see, it allows you to learn any language with Netflix or a YouTube video with subtitles. Now, not all YouTube videos have subtitles, but all Netflix series are dubbed in multiple languages. They have, all of them have subtitles without exception. So this is very useful because, if you just install this add-on, then that means that you can also make Netflix clickable, and you can just go ahead, click on any word you want, and it kind of helps you with this extension to have this ability to just go, click, see what it means. You don't have to open a new tab when you're watching Netflix and be like, oh, let me find, what piège means or whatever word it is, or marmo in Italian, for example. Doesn't matter, you don't have to do that. You can just click, listen, and see it in other context, which also speeds up learning because you can see all the different ways in which the word is used. I think at the advanced level, there's so many wonderful things here. Of course, that is not sorted. I just found Bridgerton by accident, but if you want to sort it by advanced 1 and advanced 2, as you can see, there's like 6 different levels. So you can definitely get all sorts of wonderful advanced only ones. Let's see, there's like also an excerpt from Dune, from different shows as well, like a YouTuber, who looks like a YouTuber that is, going to have lunch in rooms or this restaurant. So, all this kind of stuff, which is very interesting, and you don't have to be learning like through an old book and have to learn how to ask for directions to a train station and then do a drill about it and conjugate verbs, right? You're learning through comprehensible input. You're learning through real living language that is very interesting and that can be as exciting as watching Game of Thrones in French, for example. And so in that way, no matter your level at a language, you can be learning through all of this interesting content. Like whether you install the Chrome extension and go into Netflix yourself and pick out what you like, or you're like, you know what, I only have 10 minutes, let me just go into their library and just pick one of those 10-minute videos. You can also do that, because at the end of the day, you can also sort the videos by length. If you want something long, you can do that. If you just notice something that is like 3 minutes long, such as this, Napoli pizza tour, you can also do that. And this is very accessible, and you have all of these options and all of these topics to choose from, because at the end of the day, if you're not interested, if you don't care about the topic and about the content, learning is just going to be much slower. There's plenty of studies that proves this. I'm sure that you already know, and that I don't have to explain that, but yeah, a lot of studies prove that the less we care, the harder it is to learn, and everybody knows that. Our most boring subjects at school were, of course, always the hardest. It is possible to learn something you don't care about, but it's just going to feel like pulling teeth, and in this case, you're going to have much, much better results, and you can actually master it because you are actually interested. So that is where the real advantage of FluentU is, in my opinion. Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, you showed us intermediate and advanced, right? What about beginner level? I doubt you can do that. Yes, you can. Let me show you with Russian, a language in which I'm a beginner. Kind of stopped learning it. I started a while back, then I was overwhelmed with a lot of different aspects of my life, and then I came back to it. So you see, when you do multiple languages, you can stop, you can start, you don't have to follow the rules. This is definitely me in Russian. I did not follow any rules. I was just kind of, looking around. Last time I checked this out, I had selected beginner 1, so now this is all selected for me because with my last login in FluentU, that is the level I'd set for myself. So this is still there. Very good. So what I can do is I can go and select something that I think could be cool, like Easy Russian. I love their YouTube channel, so of course I could do that. Or I could do something like, let's say, other videos on the topic of where I'm from, introduction, something very easy like that. Just because you're a beginner in the language doesn't mean you have to pick something terribly boring. You can also use FluentU in that case. And I think that's wonderful because a lot of times comprehensible input seems like it is only for when you're advanced, but it's not. It can also be for the beginner level. And caveat here, because you see there's a kids section, I would not recommend that to adults because most of the time the kids section is best suited for your kids. So if your children are like, oh, what are you doing? Can I have an interest in that? Or, your nephew or whoever, yes, you can show them that. And, they can also take part of your learning, which is, I think is great that FluentU is age inclusive. But for you, I would say that content made for kids is usually a bit boring for adults. And I would say that it is usually a bit like kids and adults pick different ways. So it's not as useful for adults as well. Sometimes people pick it because they're like, it's going to be easier. But trust me, you can pick so many other wonderful topics that are also at the beginner level, ranked by FluentU. You don't have to pick kids content. So I think that in this case, definitely, if you're interested, you can do it if you feel like kids content is very interesting, but if you don't feel like that, just let a kid have fun with it. This is great that they can also learn using FluentU. So what if you see this big library and you're overwhelmed and you want to learn in a structured way? If you're a beginner, that might be true. Let me show you. Because I've selected a level, now I have this option to click on course. And as you see, it has different units for the beginner 1 level, like the very, very beginning level of a language. So you have this opportunity to start with the alphabet, the sounds, the simplest things, but you don't have to go and find a book or a course for that. You can just go in here and look at the different units. It takes you through pronouns, through numbers, through basic phrases, things like that, and it is all structured for you. So if you're a total beginner, you can go to that. If you prefer totally self-navigated study, of course, go to the explore section. But if you want structure, you can go to the course section. You can get a nice course. You can stay at the beginner level for as long as you feel comfortable and then move on to intermediate and advanced. So I think, with comprehensible input, everybody's like, yeah, but how do we make it comprehensible at this lowest level? This is how. You follow FluentU's course and you can do that. Of course, you can also choose, these are just the languages I have input myself, like Russian, Italian, French, German, Spanish, etc. You can also learn if you want to improve and learn English, for example. There's also a lot of opportunities here. Let's say you're an intermediate English learner, you're, Portuguese speaking, you can just go and select English for Portuguese speakers and go to the advanced section and improve that way. Or some languages, such as several Asian languages are available in FluentU that I haven't started to learn yet, but I also have access to here if I want to. So there's a variety of languages that you can learn, and it's very easy. You just kind of change with the flag. That is it. And at the end of the day, you can have this opportunity to also change the levels. And it's going to remember what level you are at. As you saw, when I changed the language into Russian, it had remembered that it filtered in my previous login by beginner, because I'm a beginner in Russian. So this is super useful and can help me learn and can help me have different libraries for different languages. As you can see here in Russian, my library is completely, empty. I don't have anything here. I haven't imported any videos. I don't have any vocabulary that I've saved. You saw that I saved some words in French, right? So in this case, this is because I have not saved any, so different libraries for different languages, and it remembers the levels and it remembers what words you saved, and you can go back and review as you see fit. So I think for that reason, FluentU is a wonderful tool to learn because you can easily switch between languages in there. If you're learning multiple languages, as I think you should be if you want to, then in this case, it is very easy to just switch because it remembers the level, it remembers, whatever words or videos you imported, whatever flashcard sets you created. It kind of has a separate memory for each and every language that you do. And most importantly, you don't have to go out and buy different courses for different languages. With one subscription, you get access to all of the different languages that you could be studying, and they're super easy to switch. So I think FluentU is great for two things mostly. I think for one, comprehensible input, hands down the best method to learn a language. So in this case, it's very focused on video. I know that many of you are actually very big fans of learning a language through video. So in this case, through movies, through TV shows, through YouTube videos, it is perfect for that. But also to switch languages easily, I think is also another great functionality that it offers, because it's like better bang for your buck, and you get all this customization for each language. So for that reason, I can highly recommend it. I have left a link in the description below, so check it out if you want to try out the tool for yourself. And of course, let me know if you have any questions, be it on the tool itself or on how you can learn multiple languages using it. Thank you so much once again for your attention, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.